my main scene. Love the vids, Big A. Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad you like them. Okay. Changing title. I need to get my thing so I can show my presentation. Where the fuck is it? Have you ever checked out Games Workshop stocks or the guy behind Warhammer 40K? Yeah, I mean, you said it. I was going to say it, but they're like a top 10 best performing stock in the UK. Yeah. It's like one of the UK's only growth stocks is the Warhammer 40K, guys. It's a failed nation. Dude, I do want to kind of talk about the UK. The UK really is in such bad straits right now. Like they're rudderless. They're leaderless. They're in such bad spots. They're calling it a fallen first world nation. It does sort of feel, I mean, it's like outside of London, the opportunities are just not there. In London, the price is so goddamn expensive. Run back austerity again. Dude, it's interesting because but they also have a high tax burden. It's like their citizens actually pay a hefty tax but see none of the benefits. It's crazy. It's like, I don't know what they're cutting for austerity, but they're still in debt. They're still spending more than they have. They still have high borrowing costs because they're not trusted. And then their people aren't seeing the results of their tax dollars. Somebody's grifting, dude. Somebody's grifting. Like somebody is trusted. Dude, what's crazy though? All right, let me show you this. Maybe Liz Truss tweeted this actually. So I've told this story quite a few times. But I've briefly explained what the Liz Truss fiasco was. Is there a... Yeah, here it is. Look at this. Okay. Scene 2. So look, right here is Liz Truss. No, wait. Is that... Where is it? Where was the Liz Truss period? Where was the Liz Truss period? No, it was like... No, I'm sorry. This is now, but this is higher than it was. Okay, it's not on this chart. But so I think she peaked at 5.38 or something. The point is, Liz Truss comes into the UK and she promises a new tax cut and spending program. So cutting the amount of money the government makes and increasing the amount it spends. And so the borrowing costs look like this. They spiked. This is not the actual moment, but this is what it looked like. They spiked. But now, right now, as in today, the borrowing costs are higher than they were when Liz Truss got kicked out for doing this. Like, austerity, it's literally the opposite of austerity. Do you just hear UK bad and think austerity? It's the opposite. They did the opposite of austerity. They cut taxes and increased spending. They did the opposite. But obviously, no one is going to loan money to the UK if they are cutting taxes and increasing spending because they're not good for it. There's no way to pay it back. And so Liz Truss got kicked out of office because the UK couldn't borrow money. Literally, the costs got too high. But now, over time, since then, the costs have gotten as high as they were in the peak of Liz Truss's tenure. And people aren't even talking about it. Like, it's no dumb questions. What is austerity? Austerity, AU. Austerity is the idea of like, hey, our debt is getting huge. We have to cut our spending. Okay? The problem with austerity is the things they cut are usually not the military or I don't know, grift or you know, tax breaks for billionaires. They cut like health services, and they cut, they cut things that help the bottom line of regular people. So often, the austerity causes a slowdown in the economy that leads to lower tax revenues anyway. So the money you're supposed to save, you don't even save. That's the general idea of why people are upset about austerity. Now, some people just say the word austerity for any spending cut, and those people are stupid. Because under their logic, they should just spend every dollar on everything at all times, and there'll be no consequences ever. And of course there is. Of course there is. It happens in every country. But it's a balance. It's a fucking balance. And Britain has not found it. Britain has not found it. And so, anyway, what I'm saying is like the crisis mode that got Liz Truss kicked out just 2 years ago is now the everyday. That's now normal in the UK right now. The world market is pricing their borrowing costs as high as like a developing nation. They're like, Germany's are so much lower than this. This is so much higher than the European average. And so people just don't want to loan the UK money because their whole system doesn't make sense. They don't have growth. They have no like economic productivity growth. It's not good. I don't know what industries are really thriving there. When did the UK collapse in 30 days vids come out? I mean, obviously that wouldn't be true. And I want to say like, compared to the standard of the worst parts of the world, UK is still obviously great, right? It still has a democratic system that works, and it still has healthcare that semi works, and they have, but it's so stagnant. It's not even that it's getting so much dramatically worse, is that it's so stagnant. The UK is just in a real rut, and they're like the second slowest growing country in Europe. UK post-World War decline has been insane. Yeah, but I mean, I would say specifically, actually, if I have a fucking chart for you. Let's see if I can find it. Specifically post-2008. People of all ages want to leave the UK. I'm reading this article. Australia and the US are where they're going. Australia, the US, Canada, Italy, France, Japan. Listen, it's not like the US or Australia are like fucking killing it right now either. That's how bad things are in the UK, man. Just very little opportunity and very, very little. And then, Keir Starmer's dead in the water. Just dead in the water. No capability of getting anything massive done. It's already squandered what little advantage they had. So they're going to be stuck for even more time. I'm sorry if I could find the chart I was looking for. Basically, it showed that disposable income and productivity growth in the UK after 2000, like before 2008, was among the best in the world, growing great. And after 2008, it's been so slow, so flat. And so, what really happens is in an economy that's growing, where a pie's growing, you can kind of paper over the fact that there's a widening inequality because everyone's standard of living is raising. As long as you're growing, it's fine. But when things stop growing, it becomes very zero sum. It becomes zero sum, and that means someone else's win becomes your loss. So the UK economy has been so stagnant that all of the gains that go to the very top in the UK have been coming directly out of the pockets of regular people. Or like, the gains in real estate prices, for example. They're going to landowners, but makes it nearly impossible for you to find a home. Are any of Starmer's policies making a difference? No, I don't think so. I mean, Starmer's been a bit of a instant lame duck. He tried to do some austerity stuff. I mean, listen, their UK's in a debt crisis. They had to figure something out. But the things he chose to cut were deeply unpopular with his own party. And so they basically revolted insta. He lost his, it's like his equivalent of the big, beautiful bill didn't pass. And so he's kind of dead in the water. And then the rising party in the UK is this Nigel Farage, right-wing new party. That's probably going to sweep next time they have an election. Reform, yeah. Farage is still around? Not only he's around, he's leading. He's leading. He's going to win. It's a while until the next election, but he's going to win. It feels bad that everything is built on this grow forever ideology. Is it time to do more stable strategies? I think this is like a talking point that sounds right when you say it, but actually doesn't make any sense because the human race has been growing forever since caveman days. It doesn't mean you have to have more of people. Like productivity goes up, new inventions. We invent a new way to plow a field or something, and now the output's up. Like you can always grow. I don't think there's any reason to think that we would stop that. Even if the population wasn't increasing, you could grow every year. It's really more about the distribution of it. But in the UK's case, it's not even. In the UK's case, the problem is they're not growing. They're not getting better. Their businesses are not competitive. They're not leading in anything. They're not. They're just stagnating, and that's the problem. Faker interview. I'll watch it later. How has inequality been dealt with historically? War, famine, revolution, disease. War, famine, revolution, and disease. Those are the big four. In France or everywhere else, everywhere. That's the book I'm talking about called The Great Leveler. I don't know if I have it. It's right there. You can see it. The Great Leveler. It just basically says that in all societies and all cultures, inequality trends up over time as humans figure out the meta of whatever society they're in. Whether it's, whether it's a tribe or it's Soviet Russia or it's modern day America or it's Australia, whatever. People figure out the meta, and then some people exploit it, and then they get a bigger and bigger advantage until the inequality is out of control, and then one of those four things happens, and then it resets. Tech advancement inherently accelerates it? I don't think that's true. I don't think there's anything inherently accelerating about inequality of tech of today versus Roman times where they had inequality too. I mean, they had literal slave owners. Does it ever really reset though with inheritance being a thing? Well, it resets with those four things I talked about: war, famine, revolution, plague. Oh. Is there a nicer one you can say? If Faker, the fifth one is if Faker wins MSI, everything becomes equal. That's the fifth horseman. So if Faker wins, we're good. That would do it. I don't think plague works anymore. I don't know, bro. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it could. Don't ask for a better. Don't ask for a worse plague. Is the woke mind virus considered a plague? By some, I guess. By some. What if famines and plagues have upsides? Atrioc, everyone's being so negative about those, but maybe they have some benefits like making us more resilient and bring us closer together. I will say this. COVID had the upside of doubling Twitch viewership. So in a way, it was a beautiful thing. Right? In a way, it was like really great. If we just had 3 or 4 COVIDs going on at once, it would be awesome for Twitch. That's good for society. Are you admitting that Twitch manufactured COVID to boost viewership? I'm just saying, where was Dan Clancy in early 2020? Wuhan, China. That's interesting. Why? Ask that question. Go deeper. See what went down. Wasn't that before he became CEO? And then all of a sudden he gets promoted to CEO? That's interesting. Why is that? It all seems to add up. Do you think... Just asking questions? I'm just asking questions. Are you worried about seeing your YouTube clips on the security monitor in China when you walk through Chinese TSA? I don't go to TSA like a regular person, okay? I'm showing up in a private jet to Xi Jinping's personal palace, and he's dapping me up at the door and saying, "What's up, Beijing?" and then putting his hand out on Beijing. Okay? I'm not worried. I'm not going to go through a regular security line. He calls you Beijing. Actually, was that Beijing means I'm in Beijing. Will you live stream from there? If I can, yeah. I'm working on getting a IRL live stream thing set up for when I go to New York. I'm going to try and, with my phone, I'm trying to get the Extra Emily. I talked with Extra Emily at Lud's 30th party, and it's not that hard. It's not that complicated. It's a phone stream. It's just a phone stream. You just need a different app than I have. So I think I'll be able to do it. Just to clarify, are you saying their inequality is inherent to the human experience and there isn't an economic system that can officially combat it without those listed events? D'Artagnan, what I'm saying is that is the thesis of the book, The Great Leveler. That is the thesis of a book that I read recently. It's not necessarily my personal viewpoint, though it makes a compelling case looking at history. What I will say is there seems to be systems like the Nordic countries that have managed to keep their Gini coefficient, which is a good measure of how many genies you have and also how much your inequality is, lower for longer. Though I'll also say the 30-year period after World War II, in not just America, but most Western nations, also had a flat inequality line, a flat Gini coefficient. That's like 40s to 70s, America, 45 to 75, UK, France. It's GINI. Yes, that's right. And the reason for that was the policies put in place following the Great Depression of World War II were extremely high taxes for the wealthy. Extremely high taxes for the wealthy, high antitrust enforcement to prevent monopolization, competitive, non-dominated markets. That shit worked. It worked. It's like, it's like the NBA having a first-round draft pick go to the bad teams. The luxury tax in the first round, it just keeps the system competitive. They're still competing, but you keep it competitive. Second apron? Yeah, seriously. The problem with Gini measurements is that they overemphasize domestic markets. If you look at the world economy as a whole, inequality has gone down drastically. No, that's, I think, a silly line of thought. Yeah, you could tell somebody, hey, don't worry about the fact that you are getting relatively poor to everyone else in your country because someone in Africa went from 50 cents a day to $1 a day. That's not, that's nice. It's a nice fact for the world, but it doesn't mean that you are happy about the destruction of your social fabric. That's genuinely a good thing, though? No, I think it's a bad thing. Of course, everyone thinks it's a good thing. It's not relevant. It's not relevant. It can't be used to downplay the inequality problems at home. What if Tim Apple really needs that extra billion? Tim Apple is not your problem. I'm pretty sure Tim Cook is not even a billionaire. Tim Cook's not your problem, bro. Oh yeah, he is. He recently. He was 500 million like a year ago. But he doesn't. He's not. He has less shares of Apple than some of the board. I guess. I guess Jensen has made quite a bit. Nvidia hit 4 trill. He's done so much for Apple, he kind of earned it. I mean, yeah, if I'm fucking listen, it's someone like Zaslav is a bigger problem, dude. Somebody who or honestly, or Musk, dude, who just sucks out, or Bobby Kotick, people who aren't even generating value. They haven't even made good decisions to grow the value of the company to get a piece for themselves. They're bleeding a company, losing jobs, fucking it over, but also personally getting rich. Elon Musk keeps pulling billions of pay package out of a company that he's killing. If they never spend the money, why does this matter? They do spend it. NVIDIA's number one. NVIDIA's not just number one by market cap. NVIDIA is the most valuable company ever. NVIDIA has passed 4 trillion. First time to do that. NVIDIA is currently past 4 trillion. No one's done that. They're in a club of one, the 4 trillion club. Nah, don't bring up fucking Dutch East India. It's not true. It's not. No, not Mansa Musa. Not. Hey, Troxter, have you talked about the stock you shorted again yet? Not yet. Not yet. When it's done. Am I wrong to mentally think of NVIDIA? Cisco is pretty similar in the position in .com versus AI. You're not wrong. Well, actually, no, we could be. We don't know. We don't know. I think it is a little different because NVIDIA has truly extraordinary profits right now. It just doesn't. It's just an absurd number. It's just an absurd number, 4 trillion. It's just crazy. I mean, mostly in the way that they're both really great companies, but no way they're the biggest company in the world. Yeah. Again, I think there's a lot of parallels. I've already made a video about this, about Cisco and NVIDIA. I made that direct comparison. But it's just a little different because truly NVIDIA is growing profits at a rate faster than Cisco did at the time. They're making fewer weird acquisitions like Cisco did. It's different. It's subtly different. The problem would be if the whole NVIDIA thing disappears if Microsoft, Meta, Google, and Amazon stop buying hundreds of millions of dollars of NVIDIA chips, billions of dollars of NVIDIA chips. If they decide that it's not worth it to buy that much, those 4 companies are the reason NVIDIA is worth as much as it is. And they buy more every year. They keep buying. So it's yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. This is the question. If they can't find a way to make money off AI, which they haven't done yet, then eventually they have to stop buying lighting billions on fire to buy more chips. But if they do find a way, then it'll keep going. I can't think of a future where AI has become more profitable. I think you're correct. Don't get me wrong. But the argument would be the same thing was true about the internet. We all knew the internet would eventually be a huge thing and be profitable. It's obvious. But the dot-com bubble happened because the hype was way ahead of the reality. Right? So the valuations got way, way, way ahead of the actual money being made. And then once that went down to earth, then it was decades until it actually caught up. So no one knows, but that's the possible theory about what's going on now. It's like, are we realistic with all these AI valuations? Are they really going to make the money that they say they're going to make soon? Where'd my thing go? Hey, thank you for the 46 months. You're telling me Tesla might not sell 2 trillion worth of robots in a year? Yeah, maybe. There'll be a lot of layoffs if the AI bubble bursts. There's a lot of layoffs right now. there's a lot of layoffs right now. Is anyone here job hunting? It's fucking crazy right now. It's a damn hard spot to find a job. It's fucking painful right now. So it's already happening. I could talk about the jobs numbers. Everyone's talking about that. I think I'll talk about this. What time is it? 9:42? Fuck, dude, that T1 thing takes fucking forever. Okay. I think I want to talk about India. Yeah, let's talk about India. I think it's really interesting. Okay, let me explain something. This is a cool little financial scandal that happened recently, and I want you guys to know about it. Over in India. This is dude, I have WhatsApp Beijing. I have, what are the other ones? I need a Namaste New Delhi. What's New Delhi? It's What's New Delhi. Okay. Welcome back to an old classic segment, What's New Delhi, on what's going on in India. I want to introduce you to a little company actually in America first. It's called Jane Street. Are any of you familiar with the company Jane Street? Some of you might know about it because it was where Sam Bankman-Fried got his start. This is how it's mostly known. Jane Street is a very prestigious Wall Street hedge fund, trading fund that has been blowing up in recent years and is now, I think, like 1 in every 10 stocks bought or sold is done by Jane Street. They become massive. They're up there fighting with Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs, the old titans of Wall Street. Jane Street's one of the newer, younger guns that has become like the hottest place to work. Okay? Interns at Jane Street usually win a million math and science competitions, and they get paid $250,000 a year to intern. An intern at Jane Street, which by the way is like the most prestigious Wall Street thing you can get on your resume. An intern at Jane Street makes more than the chairman of the Federal Reserve. I'm not kidding. His salary is $190K. The intern at Jane Street's making more. It's pretty competitive. It's hard to get into, and what they do all day is find creative financial ways to exploit markets and make money. That's their whole business model. They find weird trading patterns and arbitrage opportunities and find ways to make money. Okay? So for many years, they were a relatively small player. And then around COVID, they hit it big. Around COVID, they started making billions more, and they became one of the biggest trading firms on Wall Street. And now they're up there punching with the big guns like Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs. I blanked this out because we'll get to it later. So yeah, much like Twitch streamers, Jane Street's revenues blew up over the pandemic. Okay? We have that in common. Now we take our story. That's the intro. You actually need to know what Jane Street is and why it's important. Okay? Now we take our story to India. Adish, if this is a clip, play some Indian music right now. Okay? Set the stage. And in India, something crazy happened over COVID as well. a new wonder of the world appeared. You may be familiar with the Taj Mahal, but an even bigger wonder of the world appeared, and it was called India's options trading market. Now, I'm going to explain to you what an option is, but first I need you to understand that India, despite having a much smaller stock market than America, has a bigger options market than the United States and the rest of the world combined. Now, very simply, you can buy and sell stock. Options are like making bets on the direction and the time of a stock movement. It's like bets on whether a stock will go up or down without actually buying or selling the shares. In India, that's extremely popular, and they have over 80% of the worldwide options trades on their stock market for no real reason. Again, India is much, much smaller as a stock market than America. But for some reason, over COVID, this blew up and became massive. So this became a wonder of the world. This is this weird, unique quirk. Excitement and worry as stock options trading booms in India. Now, I'll do a quick explanation. I don't want to get into financial mumbo jumbo here. I want this to be broad. So I'm going to very quickly explain kind of the basics of an option and why it's weird this got so big. So this is the Indian stock market. This is the top 9 companies in India right now. And India, much like America, is very top heavy. Okay? Much like our entire market is moved by like 7 companies, theirs is also moved by like the top 6 to 10. And there are all these big Indian banks. Those are the biggest stocks in India. State Bank of India, ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank. Like they have a very top-heavy, bank-heavy stock market. So, to put it simply, a few bank stocks moving a little bit up or a little bit down basically moves their whole market. If there's a bad day for a few bank stocks, it's a bad day for the whole Indian market. It's worth knowing that. Okay? So here we go. Let's say you are a trader in India and you have $200 to your name. Okay? This is you. Say hi, chat. Give me a smiley face. Okay? You are a trader. You have $200 and you're going to make some money in India. So you notice the stock price of HDFC Bank is $200. So you can afford one share. How about that? Good for you. So if you buy one share, this is you buy one share, okay? And then over the next week, that share goes up to $250. How about that, dude? You just made $50 profit. You bought one share, the share's worth $250. You can now sell the share, make a $50 profit, you've made some money. This is how regular stock trading works simply. You buy a piece of a company. If the demand for shares of that company goes up, then you can sell it for a profit as the value of the shares go up, okay? Basically, you're buying and you're holding until the value appreciates in a growing company, and then you sell whenever you need the money for real life. That's stock trading. However, there's also something called options trading, which is a little more degenerate. But let's say you're an award-winning genius trader in India, like Squeaks. Like Squeaks. Let's say you're an award-winning genius trader, okay? Or maybe you're willing to be a little bit more degenerate. You have $200 and you don't want to go around with this lame ass, low limit, buy a single share, hold and wait type shit, okay? You're trying to get rich now. You're not trying to get rich in 20 years. You're not trying to buy and hold boring ass shit. Sorry, I'm cursing too much. So you buy what's called a call option. This is a bet. This is basically a bet, almost in a casino, that the stock will go up to a certain strike price in a certain period of time. The reason the options are degenerate, because with the stock, you have to be right on the direction, but it can happen anytime. As long as you're willing to wait, it can happen anytime. But with the option, you have to be right on the direction and the time and the amount, actually. You have to be right on all 3 things. And only then do you make money. Now, you can make a lot more money, but you have to be right on 3 things, which makes it much more risky, okay? Very, very similarly, okay? So Squeaks here, he knows that HDFC Bank is going to do good this week. So he bets a 1-week short-term call option at $220. He bought 2 of these. This costs him $200. By the way, this is real. These are real numbers. I plugged them in. This costs you $200, okay? So you lose his 200. He's down to zero, but he's got this call option. So when the bank goes to 250, how much do you think he makes? He spent $200. You spent $200. You made $50 profit. How much does he make? Almost everybody got it wrong. The math is actually really simple. He made $6,000. He made $6,000 off his $200 investment. So because the call option paid off, because he made this short-term bet. Now, here's the thing. Had this stock stayed at 200, stayed flat, he would have lost all his money and done nothing. Had the stock gone to $219, he lost all his money, gets nothing. But because it went to 250, it was in the money, it was profitable. He made the right bet at the right time in the right week. He guessed right, and he made a huge profit. All right? That is very simply why someone might do options. Because it's more gambly and the payout is way higher on a small entry fee. Okay? With stocks, you kind of need a lot of money to start with to buy a lot of shares so it can grow and compound over time. But with options, you can take a little bit money and make a crazy bet, and if it's right, make a lot. That's the idea. Now, options are really designed for hedging. They're designed so that like somebody with a huge position can make these small bets to cover their ass if things go wrong. But they've turned into a casino. And in India, they're a much, much bigger casino than everywhere else in the world. For some reason, almost all the option trading in the world is done in India, mostly by retail regular traders who are trying to gamble. They're just making wild bets that this stock will go up this fast, this stock will go up this fast, just making wild, crazy bets about India. It's massive there. Again, think of how big Wall Street Bets is in America and multiply that by 4. Well, really by 10. It's just so much bigger in India, okay? India is just insane levels of stock market degeneracy. So, what's unique quirk about that, though, is that the Indian stock market has a huge options trading market, but a relatively small actual stock market. The amount of money, this is like the derivatives to cash trading ratio. It's like the bigger this ratio is, the more money there is in the bet on the stock than the actual stock itself. In India, that number is off the chart. It breaks the chart. Okay? In the US, it looks like this. In India, it looks like this. So I think a good metaphor to explain it is, it's like imagine if everybody at this convention was betting on the price of Black Lotus going up or down, but not actually buying or selling any Black Lotuses. Like nobody owns a Black Lotus. Everybody's just making bets with each other on whether the price will go up or down on Black Lotuses. That's sort of the idea. The Indian stock market, nobody actually owns the card. They're just making these bets. So let's go back to that Jane Street graph I told you about, okay? How did they get so rich in the 2020s? Well, obviously COVID was a part of it, but a big thing that happened there was they opened their India office, and all of a sudden, their profits started to explode. They started to consistently make a lot of money out of India, billions of dollars. Why? Why was that? Well, one thing, just generally, is that hedge funds like this or trading firms, they love options markets like this because retail traders always lose in general. In fact, India's regulator has figured out that about 93%, or they said 9 in 10, but I looked it up, 93% of traders in India lose money. And they lose an average of $1,500 a year. So most people who buy options, they guess wrong. They get the number wrong, they get the date wrong, they get the direction wrong, and they lose money. A few people hit it really big and it becomes awesome, but it's actually a horrendous casino where most people lose. So really think about how unproductive that is. There's this massive, massive options market in India. Millions, billions of people trading options. Millions, not billions. Millions trading options, and almost all of them are losing. That is a gold mine for hedge fund traders. But what they found is even more devious. They found an even more devious plan. What they realized is, since almost nobody is buying the actual stock, you can make the stock price move relatively easy by just owning some of it. Because it's not a very deep or liquid market, you can sort of make it go up or down by buying or selling it. And because there's so much money in the options market, you can actually get underpriced options because of how much supply, how much there is. So realistically, it's like this. It's like, imagine if you owned a huge number of Black Lotuses, okay? And you decide to sell them at a loss. That seems really stupid, right? But what if there is such a big market for betting on Black Lotuses that you placed an absolutely gargantuan bet that Black Lotuses would go down in value? What if you place a $5 billion bet that Black Lotuses will go down in value, and you're able to move the prices of them with just 6 or 7? So you sell these at a loss, the price goes down, and you win your massive bet. This was the arbitrage opportunity that, I mean, very simply, it's more complex, but this is very simply what they did, that Jane Street figured out in India. And they told nobody. They told absolutely nobody. So for years during the pandemic, Jane Street started printing money out of India. Basically, they just farmed the weird obsession with options markets in India for billions of dollars a year from regular people in India. And then something happened, okay? Again, people at Jane Street are paid very well, but sometimes they get offers that pay even better. And they don't have non-competes. Millennium Capital Management, another young gun hedge fund, comes along and offers a buyout package for some of the talent at Jane Street. And they poach some of these highly paid interns and employees, okay? They poach them. Not a big deal, right? Sometimes people get offered better, they go somewhere else. But then Jane Street notices Millennium starts doing the same thing in India that they were doing, which reduces their profit, okay? Because if everybody starts doing it, then suddenly it doesn't work as effectively. So the arbitrage starts closing. So, so Jane Street gets fucking pissed. They're mad. They want to keep doing this free money glitch forever. So they sue Millennium for stealing their secrets. Now this turns out to possibly be one of the dumbest and most expensive lawsuits ever done. because once it's a lawsuit, it becomes public. During the lawsuit, all this stuff has to come out into the public. They have to explain how they were making this money and how their secret got stolen. And guess who's listening very closely? The Indian government. The Indian government starts, wait, what are we talking about? Billions of dollars being made off Indian retail traders? And they get very mad, okay? They start noticing these $4.3 billion made just farming over and over. Again, all they were basically doing is buying a bunch of Indian bank stocks and then dumping them on the market to make the price drop for that day, while making a huge bet the price would drop for that day, and then taking in the cash. And they did this over and over again and just farmed average dumb retail traders in India forever. Okay? So as of like yesterday, the Indian government went fucking scorched earth and completely banned Jane Street from India. And in fact, has already impounded $550 million of, quote, illegal gains. Now, it's interesting. Again, Jane Street would argue what they were doing was entirely legal, and it might actually be. It's tough to know where the line is on market manipulation because they are allowed to make the bet. They are allowed to sell a stock. Like, nothing was below board. It was just, it's just unseemly. It's just unseemly, you know? It's just a way to consistently exploit retail traders over and over and over again. It's not insider trading, but it is odd. Here's the thing. It wouldn't happen in a normal market because the amount of money you would need to make the stock go down would cause you to lose just as much as you would gain from the bet in most markets, in big, deep, liquid markets. But the Indian market was so unique because the betting market was so much bigger than the actual stocks. So you could put a much bigger bet out than you should be able to. So it's interesting. It's interesting is what I'll say. Anyway, it has been now banned, and now the Indian regulator is like just looking for blood on all of the foreign trading firms in India. But that's where we find ourselves today. And obviously every other Wall Street hedge fund is shaking their head and being like, wow, we can't believe Jane Street would do this. This type of behavior is not becoming, but they all basically wanted to do the same thing. They just didn't know the, and in fact are always looking for similar opportunities. But now they have a chance to knock their competitor down a peg, and so they're taking it. And, you know, I don't think there's much more to the story than that. I just wanted you guys to catch up on this little bit of financial news that has been sort of taken the financial word by storm. It's a very interesting, nerdy piece of news that I've been enjoying reading about that I thought I'd share with you. So there we go. How's it not insider trading for manipulating the price? Well, listen, if you buy a single share of Apple, technically you're manipulating the price. Okay? If you buy a share of Apple, you are infestimally making the price go up. If you sell a share, you're infestimally making the price go down. Like all they're doing is buying public stocks and selling them. And then they're buying options, which they're allowed to buy. And you know what I'm saying? Nothing that they were doing was insider info and nothing about it was illegal. The fact you can't know you're manipulating the price. They just figured out that they could. Infinitesimally. Yeah. But wouldn't buying the stocks before selling it cause the price to go up? Yes, but you get to choose when you make the bet. Lime Wings. So if you buy a bunch of bank stocks and the price goes up, people are probably making big bets that'll go up. You make a very inexpensive, easy bet that it goes down, and then you sell your shares. The thing is, in like a real market, like if it was JP Morgan Chase, you can't control no matter how many shares you sell, it's not going to hurt the price because it's so big and so deep and so liquid. You'd have to buy so much stock and dump it all at once to make the price go down. But in India, you could do it with a very little amount. How do people not realize it was happening before the lawsuit? You have to look in. I mean, they're very private about it. They're very private about it. What I would say is the mania for options trading in India, it's finally slowing down, but it was insane in 23 and 24. Insane. Just like millions of people in India were punting their money on short-term gambling bets in the stock market in India. They were just buying random daily or weekly call options every week. It's like Wall Street bets, but just on a much wider scale. Why is that? I think it just caught fire there. One thing is that like there wasn't a lot of other options to dump money. It just sort of went viral there. They don't have casinos or what? I just don't think they had as many ways to make cheap, high-yielding gamba bets where you could get crazy odds. I'm Indian. Half my friends are option trading. My mom's been telling me to get into it. Yeah, well, there you go. There you go. Well, there you fucking go. Yeah, it's tough for me to call like some magic reason why it went viral there. Sometimes things just go viral. Things hit a cultural moment and go big. I mean, it happened very quickly. It wasn't like India's always had a huge option trading market. It blew the fuck up, basically since the 2020s. Mm, the promise of quick money is so enticing. Yeah, I mean that's the whole world. The whole world is getting lured by easy money or gambling or a risk and a chance at 100x. And so that just really took off in India. And so they found this unique way to exploit it, and then it's now come back to bite them. But what's crazy is had they not sued, they probably could have gotten away scot-free because it's relatively obtuse and people don't know about it. But they tried to get greedy, I guess. They tried to shut down the talent. Do you think they'll win their lawsuit? I don't know. The Indian government seems pretty mad and they want to make an example out of it. But I think it's unlikely they'll be allowed to just operate freely in India anymore. They'll probably get banned. Why didn't they have a non-compete agreement with their employees? Well, first of all, non-competes are immoral, so it's good they didn't have them. But one of the things that Jane Street does is they make a big pride point about not having non-competes. They're like, we're so good, we don't care if we don't have to lock you down. But then they did try to lock somebody down, and it cost them big. So. Who's the counterparty to buying such a huge quantity of shares being dumped? First of all, it wasn't that massive a quantity. It didn't need to be that massive to move the market. That's the whole point. Secondly, it's the biggest stocks in India. So the counterparty was anyone. It was investors in like technically anyone who's got an India ETF. I have some. They just did it with a few bank stocks. Could this happen with high option traded meme stocks? Yeah, maybe. I mean, anything where the options market is so much bigger than the underlying asset, you could probably find this kind of arbitrage opportunity. But most things would be tougher. This was a really unique case where so much money was being thrown in the bets. What's the downside if you're wrong in the options? Your downside is usually the cost of what you paid for the option. The $200 in that example. Um, but you will, but again, 93% of retail traders lose. 93% of options traders. You have to be right. You have to be so correct on time, strike price, direction. It's just not, it's not likely. You almost certainly are being farmed. You're not built diffy. Crazy because all my friends seem to be in the 7%. Yeah, exactly. Everybody will tell you they're up. It's like Vegas, dude. Nobody ever talks about the losses, but they are losing. They're consistently losing. It's like a parlay. It's actually probably worse than a parlay in odds. Like if you want to gamble in the stock market, just buy some shares of something that you believe in and hold it. That's a risk that's acceptable. Because at the very least you'll own the shares. You can always hold those. You can sell those. If it goes down, you can hold them. But gambling on options is like just degenerate, man. It's just almost guaranteed to lose. I already talked about the tokenized stocks yesterday, I think, Zanze. All right. Fuck, dude. 10:13. Time flew. No, I gotta go. I gotta go, bro. I never get enough time. T1's tomorrow? Dude, when do I get to... Ugh. You promised 2 Smallville tonight? I did not promise 2. No, I can't, dude. It's gonna go till 11:30. I'm supposed to... Look, I told Ari I'd be done. I would be done at 10 every day, and now it's fucking 10:15. We'll have to watch tomorrow. We'll have to watch tomorrow. Maybe I can start earlier. I had to record the podcast today, which is the problem, the fucking Patreon. And then I got home, and then I did a meeting, and then I did... Oh, what's Squeaks messaging me? Okay. It's 4 episodes, 2 for today, plus 1 for tomorrow, plus another one for interest. You guys are charging interest? You guys are charging interest? Well, listen, I'm very excited to watch the next one. I'll tell you that. The next one I think is going to be really funny. We'll definitely, like, tomorrow's Get Smarter Saturday. We'll watch one tomorrow for sure, maybe 2. I just gotta start early tomorrow. That's what I gotta do. I gotta go live early, and then I gotta do some more stuff. Dude, I don't know. I think it's been harder. I'm gonna just say it, with Ari's family living with us. There's been more going on. I feel like my habits are not the same. So I have to, we'll just call it Atrioc August. When I get back from Canada on the 4th, that's when I really have to lock in, because that'll be just me. Ari's not even there that week. I just grind. Atrioc August. Atrioc August, here's one promise I can make. Atrioc August, we release the Hitman video finally, the $2,000 contract. It is finally basically done. It'll definitely be done by August. Atrioc August, release the Hitman video. I got to put in some I need to set an hour goal for the end of the month and just see if I can hit it. I need to try to like really grind Atrioc August. Because if I'm going to travel more in like October, November, I have to use August. August, September, I have to really grind to get some shit done. So Atrioc August is the plan. For the end of July, the next few weeks, I'm not going to change my plans too much, but it'll be spotty. It's been spotty and it'll be spotty because I have to travel to New York. I have to travel to Canada, and we're hosting an event. Not on stream, not live. I'm doing an IRL event with people, not for a stream. So I just have shit to do. So and the podcast is ramping up. So Atrioc August, baby. Atrioc August. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the India presentation at least, and T1 winning. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll watch Smallville. Sevens. Appreciate you. Sorry for spotty July. Goodbye.